coming into a new year, so let's look at a couple of ways to start charging out of the gate right away. More creativity, step up our chops, keep our motivation up, supercharge the playing. Metal Bass Monday. So first up, for those of you that haven't already seen it, I announced a couple episodes back that at the beginning of the year, to start this supercharge, I was going to do a 30-day program where we would pick a goal for anybody who wants to participate in it, and this would be a 30-day basic boot camp to make sure you achieve a goal and something you've always wanted to do. The way it works is that you get a practice regimen, and every single day you report back to me, and I give you some kind of feedback or advice, and once a week a longer review and a new assignment of what you need to start practicing in the following week. 4 weeks of that, super intense and a lot of fun, but every single day some guidance, because I've talked about these type of programs and how I do them for myself, and I said I'll put up or shut up and walk you through one. So if you're interested in that, hit me up at rodneymcgee.com, and I'll get you the rates for it and what you have to be prepared with and everything. And you will be recording your playing every day. Doesn't have to be a long recording, and it doesn't have to be great, just something on your phone or whatever, and just send it on up. But questions, send out to that. And for you that already knew and you're going to be participating, I need to have your confirmations in by January 1. We're going to be starting January 7, so I need to, know how many people are solid on it, know their goals, and start really putting together, the first week requirements for everybody so that we can get started. So January 1, if you're interested, contact me before then and get the materials that I need from you, and we will do 30 days and level up big time. Part 2 on announcements this week is going to be, I've decided that this year I'm going to be putting out over the course of the year a new Voice of Dissent album. Been thinking about it off and on. I didn't think it was realistic with a lot of the other stuff I have going on and the 3 new series I'm launching and everything. But since we're doing a songwriting series and things like that, and I've got a lot of material just kind of sitting there, I decided one more opportunity to put up or shut up, and I'll be releasing a new song in a couple of months. That'll be coming out of the songwriting series, and I'm going to release them periodically until it really kind of assembles into a full compilation, probably at the end of the year. So a new song every couple of months, and should be interesting. It's going to be a little different than what I've put out before, and we'll see how it goes. But it's going to be fun. So if you're interested and you follow Voice of Dissent, new stuff coming. So with that said, let's talk about how to go into the new year, and I wanted to give you guys some new stuff to kind of help you focus. Not a New Year's resolution type of thing, but a start clean, change our focus a little bit, and see if we can start with some new ideas to help us really get our playing and our songwriting up. Number 1, and I find this is a big problem that I deal with a lot of students or just random people that email me asking for advice, and it's usually how to maintain motivation, especially when you're struggling, and being consistent and having follow through. That you really get motivated to learn something, and then you struggle with it, and then the practice becomes irregular, things like that. What I want to do is give you something, and I use this analogy I'm about to a lot because it just seems to work well and people get it pretty quickly, but something to kind of keep in mind so that you don't struggle as much and you understand day to day, even though you're not making it to your end result, that it's coming. It's not a matter of can I, it's a matter of when. So keeping that motivation, knowing every day you plug in that it's coming and this will result in something. It's inevitable. I assume most of you have probably driven a car, and you're probably proficient at it at this point. But if you remember when you first drove a car, you got your hands on the wheel and you just locked in with it. And, you were squeezing the thing for dear life. And you were just hyper aware of everything. You're overcorrecting all the time. And this car's too close, of what's going on there, and looking in the rear view, this constantly scattered attention. It's hard to focus. You're paranoid about everything, nervous, and it just feels like this terrifying experience, especially the first time you drive. And again, you just got all that muscle tightness and things. But over time, gradually, you just became better and better at it until now you probably drive with one hand, you're much more relaxed, and sometimes you even just drive places and, don't even think about what's going on. You've got just enough attention on it, and now you're, eating, playing with the radio, doing all kinds of stuff. That's the same thing that you want to keep in mind when you're focusing on some kind of musical training that's really difficult. If it's a technique or whatever it is, that initial stage that you're sitting there going, oh man, I'm never going to get past this. It's so difficult. That's the grip on the wheel part. You're just reliving that. It's your same instinct. It's because it's new, you're overdoing it. That you're learning it so all your muscles are engaged, all your attention is engaged, and it's overwhelming. But for some reason, we don't translate the experience of the car over to like our music training or anything else we try and learn. With the car, we don't sit there and go, oh, well, it felt terrifying and my arms ache for being so tight on the wheel, and then we just never drive again. We just assume it's something we have to do until we get it, and then that's it. But with music, a lot of times we get demotivated because all of a sudden we assume, oh, well, I haven't gotten it by now, so I'm probably not going to get it, or this is too difficult, or I'm struggling too much. You have to reframe it to be just like the car experience. No, no is not an acceptable answer. I'm going to do this. I just have to do it. It's just something I'm going to plug away at, and I'm going to do it consistently every day. And it's just an inevitability. Maybe it'll take me longer than some. Maybe I'll learn it faster. But whatever it is, I just do this until I do it, get it done, and I've mastered it. And that's really the situation. No matter, maybe some skills take a little longer for you, or it's not as intuitive right away, but there is the inevitability. If you put in the work, you will achieve it. And the more consistently you do it, the better you get at it, faster, and the more of an expert you'll be. So keep that in mind, and that it's not a will I get this done or why aren't I as good? It is inevitable. Take away that idea that you might fail at it. You're not going to fail at it. You didn't fail at driving. Nobody's, born with this, oh my God, I just, it can't possibly master driving the way this guy in the car in the next lane to me is. No, you don't compare it. You don't think about it. You just go, this is a task I want to accomplish and a skill I want to acquire. And I'm going to do it. So that's the way to look at it. And in a way that kind of eliminates the doubt. And it eliminates that, well, it's too much time, or it's this. It's, no, I want this to be a skill set. I want to be able to achieve it. So I'm just going to put the time in. It's just like going to the gym or anything else. If you lift weights every day, it is physically impossible for you not to gain muscle mass. If you practice a specific skill regularly and methodically, it is impossible for you not to get better at it. So keep that in your head. There is nothing that's beyond your ability. These great musicians that we watch, there's nothing so special except for maybe a chosen few of, these esoteric masters that's beyond our reach if we just want to sit down and do it. So when you go, hey man, I want to be able to tap like, the guy in Archspire or Billy Sheehan or whoever it is, or I want to be able to get my 3-finger stuff down. Just go, okay, that's what it is. So this is the task. This is the assignment, time to achieve it. And just look at it like you would going into work or anything else. My boss assigned me this thing. Got to get it done today. There's no, oh God, can I accomplish this today? Is this something I can do? No, you just assign the task, complete it, done deal. Don't let yourself get too emotional about it, and don't let self-doubt creep in. Work plus time equals inevitability. Every skill can be achieved. There's nothing preventing you from doing it except you deciding that for some reason you could learn to drive or you could get your day's work done but you couldn't get your tapping down. Keep that in mind as you move forward into this year and with your practicing and what you take on. And at the end of the year, you're going to be 10 times the player you are now, maybe 20. I have faith in you. So let's start with our mind already engaged on that. Now, part 2 is I want to give you a specific exercise to improve your playing, improve your understanding of bass in totality, and to start breaking away from something that we've talked a lot about on the channel, and that's that metal bass seems to be in a bit of a dark ages in a lot of ways, in that it's become very guitar-like, that even when players aren't, just doubling the guitar lines, a lot of bassists, because I think a number of them used to be former guitar players, don't really play bass lines. They play almost third guitar lines, even when they're not copying what the other guitars are doing. And it sounds that way, that there's less of an actual bass as a section of music contribution going on in a lot of modern metal. And I think it's our job to bring it back. So I'm going to give you a methodical 3-step way to start branching out, expanding your playing, making you much more of a versatile bassist who has a voice, and also start bringing back the idea of writing songs that the core of the song is the bass. We used to have a lot of them in classic metal and things like that. And then now as metal's going on, it seems like it's less and less that you hear songs where the bass is carrying things and the guitar can be a little more free-flowing. I've always liked that kind of stuff. So 3 steps, how to become more of an actual bassist. Number 1, pick a form of music besides metal that you have good songs in or songs that you like where the bass is really prominent, that the bass is doing something not anywhere attached to any of the guitars, and that, the further away you can get from metal, the better this is going to work out for you, and also creating your own individual style and taste. I'll use the example, since some of you know I used to like the synth stuff from the 80s or, the new wave bands and things. I'll take the hit song, One Thing Leads to Another from The Fix. If you listen to that song, the bass is making a completely different statement from the guitars. And one of the really cool things, and this is something to really listen for and try and get a bass line like it if you can, is there's space where he's not playing. There's a statement, then an empty space, statement, and empty space. So he creates grooves by movements, pauses. And you really don't have that in metal. In metal, we have a very kind of more notes on top of more notes is always good because more notes. But it can be a really great way to have a new perspective on grooves, on leaving holes in things, and also how to play with the drums, but also against it at points, and also create a completely different melodic statement than the vocals and guitar are. So sit down and learn one of those songs. Learn it really well, get your groove really rolling. Part 2. What you want to do then, since a lot of the songs that really are heavy on groove and things like that, and the things you'll probably come across are probably written more in major keys, or they're more upbeat or happier sounding music. Maybe not, maybe you'll find a great example, but if you go back to a really great funk song or something like that, you're probably going to get things that are more of a major or blues scale or something like that. So step 2 is rewrite that bass line. And what I mean by that is you want to keep the exact same rhythm, don't change the rhythm, and keep the notes exactly in proportion. But what you want to do is change them to darker note choices. So if it's at a major scale and it's going like 1, 4, 3, meaning scale intervals, the first, the fourth, the third, figure it out, apply it to a darker scale, like the symmetrical diminished scale that I talked about in Metal Bass Monday, where we demystified technical death metal. You could do it in a Locrian scale or half diminished, or, look up the darker and more minor sounding scales that we tend to use in metal a lot and translate that bass line from its happier sounding key into a darker one that's going to apply more to metal. So now we're starting to take the groove pattern and the melodic flow from a different form of music and we're translating it to a darker idea that now fits better into metal. Part 3. The final step is, and I'll give you a couple alternatives depending on where you're at as far as your ability to record and computer setup and things, is start finding some beats from more metal type of sounding drums. If you don't have recording software like a DAW or something, you can go on YouTube and find like the isolated drum tracks from tons of metal songs. Just look up isolated drum tracks from your favorite artist or something. You may even find guys doing like, backing track type of things where it's just drums, or people doing drum covers that don't have the guitars in it. So look up some of those and find some that are going to be, that'll fit somewhat close in tempo, and then play your new darker scale version of that bass line over this new metal drum beat. So now you've taken the melodic kind of structure of something, made it darker, you still have that groove type of feel to it, and now you're going to apply it to a completely different feel as far as drums go. Play that dark bass line over those drums. Try a number of different tracks and see what you come up with. Make little modifications if you have to get it to fit with those drums and things. But what you're going to end up with is something that has a lot more movement and melodic ideas than a lot of metal does. You're going to figure out how to apply groove in metal and not be guitar driven. You're going to have ideas you never would have thought of because you're borrowing from an utterly different form of music. And this is how you start developing a lot more of your own sound and personality, is by taking things you like from music that other people probably aren't borrowing from. Metal people tend to borrow from other metal. Always good. I mean, I'm inspired by tons of metal players. But if you borrow also from other forms of music that you love, and especially ones that have more melody in the bass line and more groove, you're going to start setting yourself apart. And not only that, but this is the point where you've got a bass line that's very lyrical and is very forward and standing out and taking control of the song. The guitar player can start using more chords. He can do parts that just drop in and out. You can maintain the structure of a song. And now you've got a metal type of idea where the bass is the standout instrument. This is how you become a true bassist inside of a metal format, not just being a third guitar player or a guitar player playing in a different pitch. It's a pretty simple process, and it's actually really fun, and it can be inventive and exciting and lead to a lot of new ideas because this is all unexplored terrain. You're giving yourself a new map to be able to absolutely get a new idea every time. It's guaranteed. You may not use all of them, but this is a never-ending way of being able to pull new ideas into your playing, into your songwriting, and just, you've got a whole bank, the whole history of music with great bass lines that you can use them as foundation inspiration for your new things. And maybe it doesn't turn into a whole song, but maybe you have one of those killer metal songs where the riff's going and everything, and then there's a breakdown section in the middle, and you come roaring out with this bass line that you've mutated and created through these influences in the middle section, and it just blows people away. That's really going to surprise people. It's going to level up your playing, and it's not just going to be about chops. It's going to be about your effectiveness as a songwriter and a contribution to the overall musical statement. So I'll be really interested to see if some of you guys try this out and how it works for you. I would love to hear in the comments down below if you say, hey, I started with this song and I came up and here's how I changed it and I came up with this idea and I put it over these drums and then this is how it came out, whether it's a song or just a groove you're doing or a solo piece. Absolutely. If you've done this type of stuff before too, let me know down below. I'm really interested to hear how, other people interpret this type of kind of mutation of music and being able to draw an influence consciously rather than just waiting for the idea to show up or hoping that, other music that you've played somehow comes out in your playing. You can do this predictively. So Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know if you think this idea is going to work, if you're psyched about it, and if you've used it before, hit me up with those links. So I genuinely hope that this is some ways to give you new ideas and some things to try in the coming year, to level up, to start off. We could all use it. Things are definitely stale. Things have been tough this year. So let's shake it off, come out raging, and have tons of killer new baselines, new ideas, and take metal to the next step, because I think it needs it right now. It's up to you guys. So with that, all my best for the new year. I will see you in the new year, and we're going to crush it even harder. I'll see you on the next one.